Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law here on MyFM 101.3, WMRC, and also on the Howells Cable Access Television. It is the Halloween episode. Now, granted, those of you who are listening live on the radio today, it's a couple days after Halloween, but you're still in the Halloween spirit. Those of you watching, you obviously are in the Halloween spirit, as are we.
Oh, we are in the Halloween spirit, I'll tell you.
So
some more than others. Some more than others.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell what kind of Halloween spirit you're in. I'm going to get you in the Halloween spirit. So, as you know, recently this is the Halloween week, and very scary, very spooky, just like the costumes that we're wearing today. So, during our this is our first actual Halloween episode that we're ever
where we've actually required dressing up
right.
on staff. That's right.
You're going to see a lot of crazy things, and you'll hear a lot of crazy things on the radio today. But if you get to watch this on TV, we'll post this on our website on moneyinthelaw.net. Once it's all up and Christian has it all up and running, it will be a treat.
Oh, a treat? No trick? It'll be a treat?
It will be a treat.
It'll be a treat. All puns intended.
So
All puns intended.
Currently our current costumes, Jay, of course, is he's himself. Actually,
I'm
no,
not wearing
Jay,
a costume at all today. Not one thing.
Not wearing a costume. He's wearing his typical leprechaun hat that he wears to every one of his meetings.
Yep.
And I, of course, am the aging rock star. I mean, really aging.
Star.
Yeah, the aging.
Aged. Call you aged.
And I do have a cape on. I do have some sort of a royal cape on. So
Yes,
am I the old Elvis?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Are you the 68 Elvis? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm the 98 Elvis.
You're not the 68 comeback special Elvis. That's for sure.
No, that was
quite possibly my favorite Elvis, but that's the one.
And you know what? That's where he turned the corner. That was where Elvis turned right there. That's when because that was right before he started to he crested the hill.
Well, he probably had like a 4-year run there where he really, he turned it on, right? 68, he was just coming out of he had been released from his film contracts. He was so sick of making, movies like Clambake, right? He's like, he wanted to get back into it.
He made the same movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He wanted to get back into it. Boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy sings to girl, all that stuff. He wanted to get out of that. He wanted to get back into it. But you know what's funny? When you read about those stories, especially in 68, you hear about him going back, kind of re-immersing himself in the music scene, and somebody would say to you, Elvis was really nervous about the 68 comeback special and how it was going to go, and you're like, Elvis?
It's funny, right?
Right? Elvis was nervous,
right? And remember, he was nervous. He was intimidated by guys like the Vegas guy, like guys like Tom Jones or Wayne Newton, right?
Yeah.
He was like, I want to be like that. I want to be, like he's envious of a guy like Wayne Newton.
Not sure I can hold the water, right?
Right.
Not sure I can pull it off, right?
Right.
And then those guys obviously become Mr. Vegas, but there was I tell you, I'm a fan, and you go back and you look at some of those shows. You look at the Elvis Aloha from Hawaii show. When that guy was on, untouchable.
Well,
untouchable.
The sad, unfortunate truth of Elvis is that he was addicted to drugs, and it carried like arguably one of the most talented entertainers of our time or of anybody's time.
That's a crazy time. The whole thing was a crazy time.
And it carried him down, and it carried him to it ended up killing him. But it was, and it's so sad, again, with any of these incredibly talented people whose life ends early because of that. It's you can only imagine what would have happened if he was able to.
How old was he? Was he 44 when he died?
He was 43.
43. Elvis, 43 years old.
I wish I was 43.
43 years old, right? You get the Stones are jumping around the stage at 75-ish, right?
Yeah.
So there, and Elvis at 43,
right.
Burn bright, burn quick, and again, you see some of those earlier live performances, and I'm not talking the standard out of the box like songs by heart Elvis tunes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about watch him go a little deep into the catalog and grab some stuff that you might be familiar with.
Or cover a song.
Cover some songs, right? But there's a version of him doing Unchained Melody, and there's a version of him doing some of this stuff, and you say to yourself, when that guy was on, he was, and I sit, I'll watch these shows with the kids, right? and I'll say to the kids, guys, watch this show. I said, this is Elvis. I said, just a guy with a microphone.
Yeah.
The backup band, I mean, they're there.
Simple music,
they're
right? Yeah.
in a supporting role, right?
Yeah.
There's no dancers. There's no dancers, right?
There's no
none of
stage
that.
show.
There's no fireworks.
It's just Elvis.
I said,
It's Elvis and screaming fans.
this is Elvis coming out and commanding the stage.
Right. Now,
right?
granted, they give him a box of scarves, which I may have one right here.
A box
I
of
do.
scarves.
They give him a
And
box of scarves.
and 4 dozen
right,
roses.
Right. He has a box scarf and he gets a little Elvis sweat on him, throws it into the audience.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And they're killing each other for it, right?
And they're killing each other.
But
for
to
it.
see that guy work a room, I mean, and by the way, these weren't big. I mean, when he was in Vegas doing the show, that room would be like 2,000 people.
Yeah,
we're not
it's a
talking.
small-
We're not talking 60,000
Right.
people, right?
You're talking like if you're talking, he'll be like, "Hey, can you be quiet back there?" I'm
yeah, that's
trying
right.
to- I'm
That's
trying
you.
to-
You at the tables in the front there, can you
yeah.
quiet down a
Keep
little
it
bit?
down.
Trying to do a
Keep it
show
down.
here?
Elvis is talking.
So good stuff. Good stuff. If you're a fan at all, it always helps. You know, you're sitting around. Go pull some of those YouTube just gems out and see some of those performances. Unbelievable.
Maybe after the show today, I'll go out onto the Milford Green and
Ooh,
maybe
that's a
I'll
great idea.
take some pictures,
Yeah.
maybe sign some
Yeah,
autographs,
do a little hunka
Yeah,
burning
it is,
love.
It
Yeah,
is
sure.
Halloween.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
Halloween. So,
Lord
all right.
Almighty.
So you have anything that you'd like to talk about today?
No, other than watching you put on various stages of ridiculous role-playing outfits that I have no
ridiculous,
idea where they're coming from.
All right,
That's a different story.
I'll tell you what. Let's do this
Again, Haley. Again,
What
every
I
once in a
wanted
while.
what I'd like to talk about today. Super simple. The 10 Commandments. I read an article, and I read an article, and it was, and I can't even put it into words how apropos it is. We always talk, of course, in our practice, and in the financial planning practice, kind of all roads end up leading to retirement. This is the 10 Commandments of retirement, and
10.
so
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
Nice round number.
Yeah,
Everybody
so
gets it.
We'll run through the 10 Commandments by
commandment?
By commandment by commandment.
In numerical order.
And maybe, who knows? Maybe Moses may show up to actually provide. Maybe come down from the mountain to give us some of these.
Elvis may show up, but Elvis.
Elvis
Moses. Elvis was Moses' middle name. A lot of people don't realize that. In the Old Testament, Elvis, son of Zebedee, son of Zechariah.
So
That's
Elvis.
right.
There was an Elvis that was thrown in there. It's just they couldn't start any words. I think in the Hebrew language you couldn't start any names with E.
Yeah,
Otherwise it was Ezekiel.
Elohim, which you hear a
Yeah.
lot, that actually is that's Hebrew for Elvis. That's what you
right.
hear a lot. So if you hear that come up at services, remember Elvis is it's an Old Testament name.
All right,
It's an Old Testament name.
so before we go to our break and come back to the 10 Commandments of retirement, I just want to thank, remember we have Christian here, Christian Bidet, and Christian, you may be in for some, who knows, maybe Christian may find himself on the other side of the camera today if he's lucky. We'll see.
Christian is going as a millennial cameraman today. That's his Halloween costume. Yep, he's rocking that today.
All right. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on Money in the Law, My FM 101.3, WMRC, First Class Radio, and Holliston Cable Access TV. Happy Halloween. We'll be right back.
And we're back. Money in the Law, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group, and he's John Drohan of Main Effort Financial. We are here talking all things money and all things the law with Christian Man in the Con. And it is the Halloween edition this year of Money in the Law. And it's the first time we've actually required
We're not doing
dressing
anything
up.
different.
Nope, that's right, dressing up. I had, for the Halloween, I did go out last night and buy a costume for tonight, for tonight's festivities. And so it's one of those, the zipper face, you put the zipper in the middle of your face, and it looks like your face is being unzipped, and it's got all this stuff underneath it. And so I had a doc signing this morning, and so I said, geez, I wonder if I should wear this to the doc signing, go in and see the
why wouldn't
clients, and
you?
be like, oh, good morning, thanks for coming in. Let me just put my face together, and then we'll get together and sign these documents.
Did you do it?
I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. I thought to myself,
It seems like a good idea at the time.
well, that could break one of two ways, right? That could break as tonight everyone's talking about, oh, and then our lawyer, he's so funny and he's
Yeah.
so into the holiday, he came in. Or
the guy we were going to use as a lawyer.
that's right, the guy who we thought we might want to interview for a lawyer who's completely off of his rocker.
Yeah, we
didn't
decided,
interview, so.
we didn't sign. We ended up not signing.
We
Right.
ended up signing on with somebody else. We did not sign on the line that is dotted. as
Right
they
now, that there is a just for those of you who can't see, there is Jay is wearing his
My Abe Lincoln hat?
his formal attire.
That's
right,
right,
he's
that's
wearing
right,
his
that's right.
tuxedo Lincoln
My
hat.
Mr. Peanut outfit.
Yep, and I have of course my original haircut, my haircut that I had back in high school, which was the coolest haircut ever. The the timeless mullet.
Timeless mullet.
Yeah.
Timeless
Party in
mullet.
the front.
No, party in the
Sorry,
back.
Party in the back. Sorry.
All business in the front.
All business in the front.
All
Right now,
in.
so on that note, let's get down to business. So we're talking about the 10 commandments of retirement. So when we talk about retirement, we say, look, everything kind of leads to that when we're talking about financial planning. Like that's what you're saving for, because essentially what you're doing, you're saving for when you're not going to earn an income from your job, right?
Yeah.
When you're saving for the time when you're going to actually no longer like do your job and get paid for it. You need to have money saved up in order to fund your to live your life, to pay your bills, to buy your food, to buy your gas, pay your taxes, go on your trips, do all your things that you need to do. This is what retirement is, and that's what you're saving for. So there's some fundamental things that this particular author had said that make a lot of sense, and they're not all financial. We talked about this many times on the show, how not necessarily finance is. I mean, of course, it's the money part is important.
Yeah, but it's not just a numbers game. It's
but
not just
because
a numbers game.
it's a whole lifestyle. It's a whole change that you're gonna go through, and you're going to this next phase. You're going into if all things have worked out and your health has stayed with you, you've been able to maintain your mullet for this whole time, these are going to be truly your golden years. So and for guys like Jay and I, if we're like part of this to help you, that's what we're all. I'm like a retirement cheerleader. I'm like, look, you can do this. I get people psyched for retirement because it's a great time. If so long as you've prepared for it. And like I said, and you're healthy, it can be a truly wonderful time of your life.
Well, it can be, and we've talked about it a million times in the show. And it's important to talk about it. It's important to, if you have a spouse, it's important to make sure you're both on the same exact page as your spouse. One person says, I'm a ski bum. The other person says, I want nothing to do with the snow and ice. Let's get the heck out of here. You got to hammer those things out. Those aren't numbers things. Those are questions about just flat out lifestyle questions about what does our retirement look like. And we talk about it as well to say, look, by the way, it's supposed to be fun, right? This is the time. This is what you've worked for, right?
Yeah.
You're releasing yourself from forced mandatory employment, right? That's what you're talking about.
Well, what have you freed up, right?
Yeah.
I freed up my time,
Yes.
right? I freed
Yeah.
up my time.
My time is my own. What do you want to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to? I mean, I don't imagine. Maybe I have some clients that do this. That you say to myself, well, I've been retired for 5 years, and so what I like to do in my retirement is I like to wake up about 5:30 in the morning. I like to get dressed. I like to take a cup of coffee. I like to whip
commute.
down some breakfast, and then I
Get up on 93.
Yep. Then I drive to I get in traffic. I love traffic. I love sitting on the pike. I like to people watch, not at the mall. I like to people watch on the pike while I'm sitting in the car, burning through gas, inhaling diesel fumes by the thousands.
In the tunnel,
right?
right?
In the tunnel.
I
right?
love the tunnel part
Yep.
too.
Yep. I love sitting in traffic for a couple of hours. Or
What about weather?
Oh, I love driving in the rain
Or the
in the
snow.
morning when there's no light.
Yep.
Or I love sitting on a commuter rail train with 10,000 other people after paying $4,000 to park, and then I get to walk across town. And if I'm really lucky, the train breaks down, and I get to spend more
Yes.
time with those people, ideally in July with no air conditioning.
Right. And I won't speak to these people, of course. I'll
No.
just we'll share the
Yes.
the
3.5
hot-
hours
the
a day
hot-
together, but we won't be
in silence.
That's right.
In
That's right.
silence.
So not a lot. I don't hear that a lot.
No.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
No.
I'm just saying I hear it a lot.
So the idea of kind of what are some of the fundamental things we need to think about when we talk about retirement. So the first one is this. So one of the things is that he leads off with is that when people are getting ready for retirement, you need to kind of have a really good concept of what your retirement is going to look like. So if you think that, well, I'm going to retire and then everything's going to change, meaning I'm not going to need to, I'm never going to go out to eat anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to travel. My costs are going to go down so significantly because I obviously won't need a place to live, or I won't like, particularly if I'm staying in my house. Like, it's not like your taxes are going to go away. It's not like your costs. It's not like it's not like your aging house is going to just maintain itself. So people need to get in their mindset that what their retirement is. So the day before they retire and the day after they retire are essentially going to be the same kind of thing. Now,
Well, it's funny, but when you talk about it with folks and you say, look, you want to get a sense of what life looks like, if you want to really kind of chip away at it, right, you could say, look, go back and look at a couple of months of your expenses, right, and then take out, let's make it easy, right, take out things like your mortgage payment, right, because that's the big one, right?
Yeah,
right?
and
I mean, those are the big payments. Forget college payments, things like that. If you're in a situation where you can look at a couple of months, let's say 3 months worth of earnings, take out a car payment and take out a mortgage payment, right? And then look at how much money that number still looks like, right? Because it's still a lot of money, and that's you not saying, oh, and guess what? When we retire, we're going to get on a budget and we're going to go out to eat once a week and we're going to have mac and cheese the other 4. I mean, again, you to your point, you really have to have a sense of, what does our lifestyle cost us now? And people who have a lifestyle now might say, well, we didn't go out to eat that much. And then they crunch the numbers, they go, we go out to eat a lot, right?
Yeah, when they think not that much, right? And not that much if once a week, to me, that's a good amount of going out to eat.
Yeah.
I'm 4 times, 5 times a month.
Or then they might say, well, we only go out to eat once a week. I mean, the rest of it's all takeout. We bring it home, right? Oh, okay. That's not eating out. That's eating in. You're right. But I mean, again, you can really get a snapshot of what you think your lifestyle is going to cost you with no changes by taking out the 2 things that you really hope that you were able to just knock off.
And you may you may be okay with that. You may say, okay, yep, things are going to change now because our income is going to change, and this is a decision that we make. But unless you really understand it, unless you really have your head around it, it's going to be such a dramatic change for you that you're going to be like, whoa, we didn't think that our life was going to change this much, or that we were going to be so limited by our new budget. So
right, and I say it because if you just sat down and didn't look at those numbers in retrospect, you would sit down and you would come up with numbers that I think in a lot of ways don't match up with those. I mean, that's your life right there, right? It's already happened. You can't go back and change it. That's your life. That's how much you. Now, you may not want to know the answer to some of these questions because you might say to yourself, I can't believe we spend $600 a month going out to eat. That's a lot of money, right? But I'm saying you've already done it, right? Because otherwise people will sit down and they'll say, well, we ballpark a couple of things. And they always lowball the vices, right? They always say, well, to your point, we go out to eat once a week and it's $50, right?
Well, how much does a vacation cost? How much are we going to spend on vacation?
Exactly. So look at what you've already done and then give yourself an idea of what your starting point is.
Okay, number two, Social Security. All right, so remember, is what happens is people overestimate what Social Security is going to do for them. Right? People think, well, I'm going to be getting my Social Security, and they kind of gear it. We had this discussion just the other day where people are like, well, this is I'm going to retire, and that's when I'm going to start collecting my retirement. I'm going to start collecting my Social Security, whether it be at 66, 67, or 70. But understand that, remember, Social Security is not designed to replace your income. Social Security is designed to replace a percentage of your income.
Yeah, that's right. It's a floor. It's a floor.
And the ballpark of Social Security is something to the tune of around 40%. That's what they say. Well, it's designed to replace somewhat of 40% of your income, but that's not everybody's income.
No.
So if I make $50,000 a year or $70,000 a year, then Social Security could replace up to in and around 40% of my income, right? Depending on how long I've worked, and all the factors that will contribute to my Social Security. But if I'm making $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year, I get my Social Security. That's not going to be 40% of my income.
No.
So again, this comes with pre-planning for your retirement and understanding, and it's so easy to do. www.ssa.gov. Go on that website and find out what your Social Security estimates are going to be.
Well, and that's your starting point, right? That's your starting point because it's lifetime income. It's never going to go away. We've talked on the show a million times about, do you want to wait until you're 70? Do you want to try to take it early? Putting all that aside, that's a number. And you start from that because that, all you got to do is fill out some paperwork and you're getting that. So that's not going away. You're going to get that. And they'll give you the estimate. As John mentioned, you go to the website. They send it to you, or they will send it to you if you want them to send it to you. So you'll have an idea. Build off of that because that's your starting point, and then you can add 2 on top of that.
One of the things that you have to understand too is that Social Security, so long as you've contributed and you're part of Social Security, it's not discriminatory. So if you show up at Social Security office and you're wearing a hat like this one, which is the one that Jay's wearing,
well, they have to talk to you.
Or if you have a mullet, you're going to get Social Security. So all you mullet wearers out there, unite. It's okay.
By the way, you don't get more for the mullet. You don't get.
Although one would argue you should.
Maybe.
All right. So Social Security. Understand how Social Security will fit into your retirement. Okay. Number 3. I'm looking at number 3 right here. I think we're going to skip right over it.
My heart skip a beat.
I'm number 3 right here. I don't think this is important. Actually, it's very important. So number three on the commandment list. Like what's the third commandment? I don't remember. Anyway, number 3, I'm going to read it out loud. Have a financial and estate plan.
And actually, estate plan, just for those who can't see this, estate plan on the list, it's highlighted, right? It's in bold. It's in bold,
right?
which warms my heart. Warms my heart.
Yeah. Have a financial and estate plan that provides for your spouse and others who depend on you financially and who may outlive you. That is arguably in a retirement plan, because think about it, as you come into retirement, right? As you and again, I'm saying this because I have the estate planning attorney standing next to me, not because of that, but because it's true. When you come into retirement, people are like, especially if they're squared away and they know that they're going to have a solid income, they have assets saved. The next thing that they want to do is they're like, look, I want to make sure if they have people, if they have children, I want to provide for them. I would love to put all of this hard work. I don't want to spend it all. I don't want to like spend my last penny and not leave anything to my loved ones, or in the unforeseen capability or possibility of that. If I were to die tomorrow, that my wife and my family would still be able to continue to enjoy their retirement even though I'm not here.
Well, and we've joked a fair amount, I'll say, and we've had some fun at the expense of our friends in the insurance industry. But as you, I'm sure, can well imagine or testament to, right? As we're talking, we're going to go, because we're on the religious bent here. So a terrible thing is when something happens to somebody, obviously, and they pass away. Horrible, horrible situation. And obviously, as a planner and as an advisor, you hear about it, you talk to clients, it happens, and it's terrible, okay? Now, unfortunately, out of that terrible situation, the only positive, if you will, is when the planning that person has done basically pays off, right? I mean, and again, you have kids, I have kids, you have family, I have family, and I think to myself, look, I like being here. Okay, I very much enjoy my day-to-day existence. Okay, if for some reason,
by choice, if you have to make a choice whether to stay or leave,
that's right.
I'm going to stay.
That's right. I like it. I like it. I like it. It's a good ride. But if I had to go, if something had to happen, and I was out of the picture, the one thing that I do take solace in is that, if you've done some planning, if you've made some insurance plans, your family would be taken care of, right? And that's the important part, because you see it happen all the time. Something happens to somebody, and then within a short time afterwards, the questions start to unfold, which is, I think they're selling the house. I think they're moving the kids. I think they're going here. I think they're going there. Those are terrible scenarios, and we talk about planning all the time, and we talk about plan for the worst, hope for the best. But life is life, and and a lot of people will put it off, and they'll say, "Well, I'm not going to do it right now." Well, you know what? That can potentially change the calculation, because the things that you thought you were going to tackle now and you put off, something happens, and then all of a sudden that doesn't become an option for you anymore.
How many times have we said it on this show? How many times have we said the people who plan like when it's easy to plan, when it's not when they're not like they're not under the gun or
no urgency,
that there isn't like they're not reacting to something.
That's right.
I'm being proactive instead of reactive. So that's why. So if you want to enjoy your retirement, because if you hit retirement and those things aren't buttoned up, then you're always going to have that kind of in the back of your head. And just like Jay said, life happens. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
And catching up is difficult, right? It's always I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. That's right. That's right. So, that's number 3. Estate plan, financial plan. Have a plan, right? That no matter what, have a plan.
Okay. Before we go to break, I'm going to start with go to number 4. This is one of my favorites. As the people say to me, oh, it's all about the money and money, and you do money and blah blah, money in the law, and at the end of the day, to quote my father, it's only money, right? So at the end of the day, you're going to have your money. Your money is a part of it, but it's the non-financial piece of that retirement that we stress in our practice. And I know Jay does it at the same thing. Is that you need to think about like what that retirement is going to look like. What's your picture? What do you want to see?
Yeah.
Like what is your plan? You need to have a retirement plan as to what I'm going to do. And we've said it 1,000 times on the show. What am I going to once I retire? Like I know why I'm retiring.
What am I going to do?
I'm retiring because I either I can or I don't want to or I don't have to. No longer kind of do this commitment to time and to this profession or this job. But what am I going to do with my time afterwards?
Right.
And we've seen both ends of the spectrum. We've seen people that they're like, hey, you know what? I have a laundry list of things I want to do. I'm gonna watch my grandkids every day from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock, and that's going to be great. Or I'm gonna start my own business because you know what? I was commuting to Waltham for the last 40 years, and now I'm going to work out of my house and I'm going to do cabinets. I'm going to
golf. I'm going to golf.
I'm going to golf, right? Or I'm going to travel. We're going to travel everywhere. We're going to see every single cool city in Europe. But if you don't have a plan, then you go to the other side of the spectrum, which is, what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't know. And you know what you may not know what you're going to do, but I know one thing you're going to do. You're going to get old. You're going to get old, and you're going to get old fast.
Yeah, you watch a lot of TV. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and
we
all
know how great that is.
And then as we all know, the older we get, is it more likely that our health is going to improve or is it going to get worse? I mean, who knows? Like, it's just the odds are like this is your time, and it's time that's limited. We're all on limited time.
But it's a window. It's a window. We've talked about it before, right? The bike trip in Vietnam. Yeah, maybe at 70, maybe at 80. I don't know.
At 80, it's a different trip.
I mean, it's a different trip. Yeah, you mock these tour packages that people go on. You're like, well, I want a tour package. But I backpacked through Europe when I was 18. I'm not taking a tour package. Well, that's right. You were 18. Now you're 68, right? That backpack gets a little heavy at 68, right? Your bone mass doesn't necessarily support the structure that it supported at 18.
And you probably have more stuff in that because when you're 18, it's like, oh, I'm not cold. I don't need to bring. When you're 68, you're bringing way more gear. Yeah,
that's right.
That backpack's way heavier.
That's right. The medications alone, for crying out loud.
Just the meds right in my book.
Just a big pill container.
Right.
A big pill container.
Honey, I'm going to need a smaller iPad.
Yeah, that's right. You're a little less willing to be rugged at 68 than you were at 18. Maybe not. Who knows?
Seemed like a good idea at the time. All right.
That's right.
All right. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back on My FM 101.3, Money in the Law with Jay Marsden from the Marsden Law Group. I'm John Droyan, Christian Boudet from the House and Cable Access TV. We will be right
See you in a bit.
back.
And you're back. Money in the Law, My FM 101.3, Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group, Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group, John Drohan, Sergeant Drohan, Main Effort Financial. I'm a little thrown off. There's kind of a weird vibe in the station today. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
Some people say it's haunted.
Scary,
some people say it's something. Some people say there's an apparition.
It's been invaded.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's been some sort of invasion.
It's crazy. I don't know what it is, but who knows? But
all right, so we're jumping back into the top 10, the 10 commandments of retirement. All right, so this gets us right to number 5. All right, number 5. We're at number 5. We're moving right along. Okay, so number 5 says pay attention to communications from your employer, Social Security, Medicare, personal advisors, and others. All right, so and he uses a good line here. It says what you don't know actually can hurt you.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's important that you understand. So if your employer is saying, okay, so if let's say you have a pension, right, and you need to understand that if you have a pension from your employer, you need to understand how that pension works. You need to understand like what your options are with respect to if I take the survivor benefit pension, if I take my pension now versus if I wait 6 months, a year, or 2 years from now. So having full comprehension of how that pension works, and most employers, at least we've seen in our practice, they do a pretty good job of kind of communicating that.
Well, a lot of them have to. Because they have a responsibility, right?
They do. And I'm saying, like, I mean, pretty good job in the sense that they'll provide you like a printout and a generation, and even like to the person who, even like to somebody like me who's seen these before, sometimes they get complicated. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I think I understand that. So, but what I mean is a lot of these employers, if you are part of a pension, don't hesitate to call your employer and say, I need to meet with somebody and explain it to me in third grade English exactly what my options are.
Yeah, I need to understand how this. I need to understand how this works, and I need to understand what the options are. And you most definitely want to have this conversation about 5 years out, right? That's when we start talking to people to say, look, 5 years out, you're a car payment away. You need to figure out. You need to understand what your options are, because some people will tell you after the fact, oh, and by the way, this is what I did.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, really? Because that's the complete opposite of what I might have suggested we do. Let's talk through it.
Right.
And to your point, because once that door closes, it's over. There's not a whole heck of a lot you can do after that. And so, and people will think, and this is going to sound, unfortunately, this is going to sound terrible, people will think it's kind of funny, right? Like they'll make a very cavalier statement, like, yeah, I just was ready. I just wanted to fill the paperwork out. I was so done with work. I am done, right? And then you realize afterwards that it cost you X amount of dollars because they kind of ham and egg their way through the process. Because why? Because they either mentally or emotionally or financially, or they just weren't ready for it. So they figured, like everything, right? Like, they just put it aside, or they stick their head in the sand, and then they just make a decision. And then afterwards they say, I hope that was right. And everybody has because everybody's responsible for their own retirement now for the most part, the options are very different. And they're also very personal. So you need to really understand what you're talking about.
And this kind of goes hand in hand with not only if you have a pension, but what your health care options are. So and there's another, I think there's another commandment that specifically addresses health care, but what your Medicare options are, because you're upon your retirement or upon you leaving your job, depending upon how old you are, depending if you've already applied for Medicare, and we talk about this in our in all of our retirement planning, but Medicare or your health cost, that's a big line item number in people's retirement. And it's not a line item number that's going to go down. In fact, for 99 out of 100 people, or 999,000 out of 100,000 people, it's going to keep going up. So you need to pay particular attention to that and understand kind of what the Medicare piece is and how that's going to affect you, and that goes along with your Medicare supplement. Your total health care cost is really important. And then and going right, staying like step for step with that is also, we just mentioned before, Social Security. So how does my Social Security, understand, like, if I'm taking, and I go back to this pension piece. So if I'm taking some sort of a government pension, is that going to affect my Social Security? And just having a full understanding of what this is.
Clawback provisions and things of that nature. That's right.
Having a full understanding of what all this is and what's going to happen when I retire. And this isn't like, 2 weeks out or a month out or even 6 months out. This is like years out. You understand, like, these are what my options are. Now, granted, things may change, the numbers may change, they may adjust over time.
Well, and there's also, when you go through this sort of life cycle of employment and then retirement, yes, in some respects, you're 40 years old, barring a change in your circumstances or something like that, this is an asset gathering phase, right? This is just pile in as much as I can. But then at some point, there's going to be these touchstones, these milestones, these 5 years out, retirement, things like that. And those are the things you want to kind of get ready for, because your situation has changed, right? People say this all the time. Oh, I did my own taxes for a million years, and then this year these 5 things happened to me, and I'm not sure I understand how to handle them from a tax perspective. And we tell people, well, this is the year to employ a tax person, right?
Sure.
This is the year to find somebody to do your taxes.
Why? I love that.
Because you had somebody pass away in your family, you inherited some money, you sold a piece of property, you started a business. So there's things going on that are different this year. This is no different. This conversation around, I'm retiring, are things different? Or I'm transitioning from jobs to self-employment, things are different. How do I handle it? Those people, their advice is worth their weight in gold, because they will triage these things ahead of time and say, here's how you probably want to handle, or here's some options to understand. You are, again, you're always in charge. You're the boss.
Now, if you're getting advice from somebody who's wearing a Jimmy Buffett-like hat, that's not necessarily bad advice. In fact, in this case, it would be like gold advice.
It would be gold.
And he also may help you to say, hey, listen, you know what, I would tone down the grill a little bit, because those shrimp are going to burn.
Well, right? That's all right. Seafood needs to be treated with the true delicate care that it deserves to be treated.
If you're going to make a margarita, use this particular brand of tequila versus this particular.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
And and you can, and much like your investment options, you can go with an all-in-one margarita approach where it's basically all put together for you, or you can build the margarita yourself.
Build it yourself.
You can customize it. Customize your portfolio. Customize your margarita. There are lots of overlaps to the way we approach things here, both while tailgating and while giving you investment guidance as well as legal advice.
Which carries us into the next commandment. I mean, you couldn't have timed this anyway. I want to say you might have cheated on this, which is when we talk about saving, we talk about this all. When we talk about saving for retirement, right? When we talk about like retirement savings is going to carry the day pretty much on every other type of savings. That it is the most important saving you can do, because, as Jay just mentioned, this is all on you. Most of us do not have a pension anymore.
No.
So all of your retirement savings is on you. So if it comes down to, well, should I save for retirement or should I save for, if it's one or the other, or should I save for my kids' college education? Unfortunately, you want to help. You want to help your kids. We all of us, all parents want to help their kids as best they can. But retirement is going to carry the day on that. Retirement needs to, because I can finance college. I can finance. My kid doesn't have to go to a $70,000 a year school. My kid can go. There's a bazillion different ways to pay for college, but there's not a bazillion different ways for me to be able to save for retirement or to be able to fund a retirement. I can't finance it.
And to your point from earlier show, what's the worst that happens? You save too much money for retirement. It's not like it goes away. Your savings for retirement, it's not a flexible spending account. Oh, honey, I know we saved $2.6 million for retirement, and we're probably not going to use it all, and so they take it away. No.
There's no such thing.
No.
There's no such thing as saving too much for retirement.
You can always make those decisions. If the kids are carrying school loans because it was what made sense at the time to fund your retirement, and then you feel like, you know what, we won the retirement game. We figured it out for a whole host of reasons. Guess what? You can write the kids a check.
Yeah.
That loan can go away like that. And so you could say, I paid my kids' college.
Right.
I had to fund my own retirement first, but when I figured out that I had won that game and there was some extra money to play around with, I wrote them a check. Or go ahead.
I was going to say, or let's just say that your kid went to a state school and they paid for their own college. They put themselves through college. But guess what? Now they have 3 kids. And guess what? Their 3 kids are looking to go, these are 3 kids that are going to get into Ivy League schools. Guess what? If your kid, and we always say it, right? If my kid gets into an Ivy League school, if my kid gets into Princeton, they're going.
Yep.
And Princeton isn't giving out, they're not giving out a merit scholarship to a smart kid, because they're all smart.
Right.
So guess what? Somebody's writing a check. And if you're in a fortunate situation where you saved enough for retirement to easily fund your retirement, and you can give money, you can write a check to help your grandkids go to college, I mean, you won the game.
Well, you bring up a good point. This idea of saving for retirement, yes, you're saving for your own retirement, but if you do it well and you do a lot of it, not only are you building your own wealth, you are creating what quite possibly could be an unbelievable intergenerational transfer of wealth.
Right.
And you're not just benefiting yourself. Yes, you are, but in addition to that, you are potentially really paving the way for your kids and or your grandkids.
Yeah, so you're opening up a tremendous amount of opportunities that they might otherwise not have.
I mean, think about it. If you're beating yourself up about, we focused on spending our own money on our retirement and the college thing. Your example, I was heading right down that path for your example. We're so connected.
I know.
But you could basically say, you know what? Guess what? Congratulations on the new grandkid, or my grandkid. Congratulations on your kid, right? So guess what? Guess what I'm doing? I just dropped the check for $25,000 into the kid's 529 plan. We're gonna make that our thing, right? Let me tell you, as a parent with 2 kids staring at college costs, right?
Yeah.
I would be kissing the ground that they walked on.
You know what you'd be doing? You'd be going,
right.
Mom, you need me to come up and you want me to come stack those 3 cords of wood by myself?
Done.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
Happy to do it.
Because guess what I'm not doing? Working my 11th job to pay for my kids' college, because you were able to do that.
That's right. So essentially I've just done that, and you've given me $20,000.
So moms and dads, if you're hearing the show right now, do not be afraid to write your kids or your grandkids a check for college tuition right now, and then money. And then in the memo section, you just want to put money in the law advice per money in the law.
Right.
That's great.
But that's only if you've spoken to someone from Money in the Law and they've said, okay, we've reviewed your plan and you can afford.
Oh, right.
To
There's
do
that
this.
whole pesky thing. That's right. That's right. All right. So again,
All right, and then going right along with that is the idea of saving. So when you're saving for retirement, people say, well, I'm going to knock this out. I'm going to take care of this first, and then I'm going to start saving. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to start saving. How many times, of all of you loyal listeners out there, how many times have you heard my partners talk about the power of compounding? So my point is this. Start saving as early and as much as you can.
it's like voting. Early and often.
Early and often. Not regret it. You will not regret it. And you and I both have clients that have done that, right?
Yeah.
And these are people that, they're in their early to mid 50s and they have a sizable amount of money in their retirement. So they are projected, like if all things kind of remain the same, they're projected to have a very, very stable and retirement that has all kinds of flexibility because they're going to have a lot of money saved up.
Well, we've talked about this in the show before. The means and the mechanisms of paying yourself first could not be easier in this environment, right? You fill out the direct debit form, and it comes right out of your checking account, or it comes right out of your paycheck in some cases, right? And the benefit out of the paycheck is it's hard to change, right? So once you get used to the $200 or the $300 a month that goes into, where does it go? Into your brokerage account. My favorite account goes into your brokerage account, right? Now, next thing you know, you wake up, you're like, you know what? I got a couple of bucks put away. And by the way, when you have a couple of bucks put away, those couple of bucks, they earn a couple more bucks, right? And then these ideas, the things that blow up your savings plan, become less of an issue because, you know, you need $1,700 for a brake job because your transmission fell out of the back of your car and the whole, oh, great. You know, you go to your account and you say, I need to pull some money out.
$1,700 brake job.
It's expensive brake. As long as it's a tire brake job. It's the longest tire brake job.
Whoa, long distance tire. Where are they from?
That's right. They do them one brake at a time. It's $400 per brake, right?
And it still adds up to $1,700.
Taxes and there's get rid of the old stuff costs.
Yeah,
that's
right. They have to remove. Wait, they have to get rid of the old brakes, right?
They charge you for all the old stuff.
I mean, people don't realize that it takes money to get rid of old, like broken down brakes.
Yeah. By the way, we
Kevin,
love long distance tire. We love
right?
long distance tire. We're having some fun at our good friend Kevin Conley's expense.
But wonder what he's going to be for Halloween.
But tire salesman.
He's the Michelin man every year.
Of course he is. A Michelin man. He gets a suit for free. But that's the idea, right? The savings. You know, once you get that ball rolling, it takes care. Not doesn't take care of itself, but it starts to really get some critical mass going, and it really helps out in many, many ways.
Okay, we're going to take one quick break, and then we'll be right back for the last three. The last three outs
home run, baby.
Of the Red Sox World Series.
Stop.
All right, the last three of the 10 Commandments of Retirement. My FM 101.3, Morrison Law Group, Main Effort Financial, House and Cable Access TV. We'll be right back.
And you're back. Money Law on My FM 101.3. He's John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. I am Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group. And we're talking all things money, all things law. And it's been you're like Diana Ross. You've had like 15 costume changes today. You've done an unbelievable job.
It's Halloween.
I appreciate it now that you've dispensed with that silliness. You've put away the costumes. I appreciate you just focusing on let's just get stuff done. Let's be serious about the last three commandments for retirement. And enough with this insanity.
And then we'll get on.
And then we'll put some more costumes on.
Then we'll go back. Then we'll go to the battle that we just left in order to do this.
That's right. That's exactly right. So we get three more to go. So
it sounds a little muffled. Can you hear me? Okay.
No, I know it's fine. It's fine. It's good. So
don't say anything.
Yeah, keep talking. We talk about this all the time, right? A couple of things you can absolutely count on over the course of your life: death and taxes, right? Death and taxes always go. They sometimes even go hand in hand. And you want to make sure that everybody thinks that their taxes are going to be lower. Everybody thinks I'm going to retire and I'm not going to have any taxes, right? Because I've been told.
Because, right, my income has gone down.
That's right. And that may not be the case, right? You may have been very successful and you may have saved a substantial amount of money, or the bulk of your money might be in your retirement accounts, right? And every time you take $1 out of your retirement account, Uncle Sam's hand is out right then and there to say, by the way, I'm owed a couple of bucks. I've been waiting all these years to get my hands on this money, and now I want to get it, and I'm happy to take it. So what do I have to do to get it? So you need to make sure and understand and fit into your budget that taxes are part of the process. It's not just, I get 60 grand tax-free and I don't have to do anything about it. You're going to have to pay some taxes, and you need to factor those in as part of the budget. All right?
Remember what we said, that most of the time when you retire, take me seriously.
I do.
Most of the time when people retire, there's not a big change because their lifestyle hasn't changed. So if you need $100,000 a year to live in, before retirement, when you retire, it's probably not going to be much different.
No. And by the way, if you've been living off of $100,000 a year, you probably make more than $100,000 a year.
Right.
So the tax piece of it's already been taken care of. It's come out of your paycheck before you brought the money home, so you haven't had to really worry about it. But if you all of a sudden walk out the door and say, hey, I have $1 million IRA, and I'm going to take $100,000 a year out of that, and I'm going to live my life, that's great. Guess what they're going to give you? Not 100, they're going to give you 70, right?
You're going to get 70. Paying taxes.
That's right.
You got to pay taxes
on that, right? So you got to figure that in.
And by the way, you're in the same tax bracket that you were in when you were working.
Yes.
Your tax bracket hasn't changed.
That's right.
And we don't know what the tax brackets are going to be in the future, right? We don't know because
it always changes. It's a political animal. It always changes. Depends on what's going on, right? So number 9, something that I think
we're almost there. We talked about we alluded to this before. Right?
Yep,
Go ahead.
You may struggle a little bit with this, but you got to worry about your health care expenses. They are going to be exceptional for yourself, for example. Glasses, dental work. things like that. Those might be expensive for
That,
you.
that's in the works. I have a separate account. I'm
Okay.
using, yeah,
Use
I'm
your
using
HSA for that.
I'm using my flex savings
Use your
for
HSA
that.
for that.
Right.
Yeah. So again, that and an HSA, that's an account that you can start tucking some money away in now. Again, you don't have to cover all of it on the health insurance side, but there are ways, because you are going to be responsible for all of this. You're not going to get a pension for most folks. They're not going to cover your medical and retirement for the rest of your life. You're going to have some out-of-pocket expenses. And so now is a good time to, again, throw some money at some of these things and use some of these tools. And they're designed from a tax perspective to incentivize you to make these decisions and put this money away so that you're not the government's problem down the road. So think about some of these things and put some money away in some of these vehicles to cover health insurance, because you're going to need health care. You're going to need a lot of health care.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're not 18 and bulletproof anymore. So you're at the time in your life where your maintenance costs for yourself are going to be pretty high.
So with our clients, one of the big things that we try to stress is that if you can, one thing you don't want to skimp on is your health care.
No.
So you don't. So the idea of you're going to have when you hit 65, you're going to qualify for Medicare, but Medicare isn't going to cover it. It's not going to cut it. So it's a great start, but you're going to need some kind of you're going to need a Medicare supplement. And like Jay said, your health usually doesn't get better as you get older. I mean, it may sustain, but at some point, the older you get, the more health you're going to need.
More health care you are going to
need.
consume. The more health care you are going to consume. You're a consumer of health care, and as you get older, you're just going to buy more of it. All right.
Yeah.
And the last thing that you want to think about is
but not least,
income. It's all about income, right?
How many times have we said it?
All day long, right? You go to work every day, they send you a check, and the world goes round and everything's happy. If that check didn't come in, and you hear people talk about this all the time, geez, if I lost my job, if I don't have enough emergency money saved, well, guess what? This emergency that you don't have enough money saved for, this emergency lasts for 20 years, okay? This isn't, I lost my job in January
Hopefully
and I
it
had to wait
lasts
till
for
June.
at least 20.
Yeah, but this is not, I lost my job and I have to wait a couple of months till I get a new one. This is, I'm not working anymore, and hopefully you can be able to make this decision and make this determination, but it's all about income. So you need to have that foundation. You need to have that base amount of money that you can then use to essentially replicate the money that you got when you were in retirement.
And what are your options?
Take your mask off. I can't hear you. And deal with whether or not you actually can sustain your lifestyle in retirement. Because if you can't, you're not retiring. All right, your retirement is going to be defined differently than what you had planned on.
And how do you go back to work?
I
mean, most of the time you can't.
Well, or you know what? Guess what? You don't want to, but you have to.
Yeah.
Right? And we talk about forced mandatory labor. Right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what retirement is freeing you from.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't work. It doesn't mean you can't do something. I mean you can't get out of the house a couple of days a week, do whatever you want to do, but it's on your terms. On your terms. Like that hat. Wearing that hat, you wear that on your terms.
I wear this on my terms.
That's fantastic.
All right, so there you are. There's your 10
get 'em.
Commandments of Retirement, as brought to you by the Wall Street Journal.
You are blessed. You're blessed.
And as explained so thoroughly and completely by Money in the Law.
Yeah.
So I think we're about out of.
Happy holidays. Let's go get some candy.
All right, everybody. Hope you had a great Halloween and having a great Halloween week. And tune in next week to Money in the Law, 9 o'clock. On Saturday mornings at MyFM 101.3, First Class, WMRC First Class Radio. With Jay Marsden from the Marsden Law Group and John Drawn from Main Effort Financial. Thank you once again for Holliston Cable Access TV for putting up with our Halloween antics, and we will see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Have a great week, everybody.